Welcome back to another edition of 15 Minutes With. I'm your host, Sam Dostler. Today we're joined by current Southern New England Women's Golf Association, better known as SNEWGA, their president, Debbie Johnson. Debbie, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to join us today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Debbie, before we talk about your role with SNEWGA, you're an excellent player, and you recently qualified for the U.S. Senior Women's Amateur set to be played next week at the Lakewood Club down in Alabama. Where did you qualify? What was qualifying like? Take me through that whole experience.
This year I chose to qualify out of Tuscarora, which is just out of Syracuse in Marcellus. The day was rainy, and I was hoping that that was going to be a good thing for me because I consider myself to be a pretty good mutter. And it looks like obviously it worked out because I got one of the two spots. There were only two. It was a small field. I was a little nervous because there were several players, very good players in the field. So I knew I had a tall order to get through. And I managed to do it on a rainy day in Marcellus, New York.
What's your mindset going into a USGA qualifier? How do you approach that? How do you prepare for them?
For the qualifiers, you just need to remember, and really for any event, you really just need to remember it's just another round of golf. You practice, you go through whatever practice that you would normally go through. You maybe putt a little more on greens that you hope are the speed of the golf course you're going to play. But the preparation really isn't any different for a qualifier than it is for any other event. I mean, you really just have to bring your game that day.
Have you played in USGA events before?
I have. I have.
What events have you played in, and what's that experience been like for you?
I've been fortunate to play in 10 other events. I've played in a couple of public links, a couple of mid-ams, a few state teams, and this is now, I think it's going to be my fourth senior amateur. And the experience at those events is something like nothing like anything an amateur golfer will ever get to experience. No disrespect to the CSGA. They run their events very well, but the USGA event, they treat you like queens. It's like being in an LPGA event. It's just one of the most awesome experiences you can absorb or have as an amateur golfer. It's just first class all the way. The volunteers are phenomenal. The setup is phenomenal. The presentation, the food, the golf courses. I'm getting to that last. Just everything about it is phenomenal. It's just an experience that I relish every time I get the opportunity to play in one.
So you're heading down to Alabama next week. Take us through what the pre-tournament preparation looks like. When will you head down? Do you get a practice round at the course? What's all that like?
In all USGA events, you get two practice rounds. In all of the amateur events, those are the 2 days before the event starts. This event starts on the 10th. I'll be there on the 8th for the first practice round. I'll get in 2 practice rounds. Hopefully, if it doesn't rain and we don't get hurricanes, it is in Alabama. The preparation, again, is the same thing. I mean, you just have to bring your mental game and your physical game with you. Keep your nerves under control. Just get ready to handle the speed of those greens, handle the difficult positions that you are likely to be in here, there, or wherever. The golf courses are never easy. That's why they're hosting a national tournament. They have places that can be really bad to go, as opposed to a regular golf course where it might be kind of bad but wouldn't be really bad. That's kind of the difference in the level. You can't really prepare for that other than to say it's going to happen and I'm going to be able to manage it because this is how I'm going to manage being in difficult places. Beyond that, like I said before, getting ready for it is the same as for the qualifier. Your game's already there. That's how you got in, right? There's no extra practice. It's just whatever you've been doing.
We're talking with SNEWGA president, Debbie Johnson. Debbie, we've talked a little bit about your playing in USGA events. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of your golf career. When did you start playing golf? How did you get into the game?
I always had an interest in golf. I remember in 8th grade doing a presentation on it, and I'd never actually played the game.
Oh, interesting.
which is kind of funny. I was always trying to get my dad to take me out, but he always had stuff that he had to work in the yard. He had to work on the house. He didn't have time to, it takes a long time to play golf. I probably didn't start regularly playing until I was about 26 or 5. So I've been playing since then. I started playing tournaments maybe in 98. Maybe I think I started playing the Stamford Amateur, City of Stamford Amateur. And then I pretty quickly just went straight to like the State Am and the first USGA qualifier that I could get into, because that's what I knew to play in. I didn't actually know about the women's club at Sterling Farms, which was my home course at the time.
Is there any, you mentioned that you didn't really start playing until your mid-20s, and you did the project in 8th grade. Is there a reason that you can think that you were so into golf when you were a child, or is it just something you saw on TV a little bit and it kind of piqued your interest?
I was always good at softball. It's a similar sport.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what piqued my interest. Maybe because it was similar and let me try this game. It looks like fun. My parents played it. My mom was not really very good at all. My dad was a natural athlete and just loved to pick up a sport. We're playing a game. Okay. And he's off playing the game, and he was always reasonably good at whatever he did. And that probably gave me some bit of interest. And then, like I said, being a softball player is a similar sport. Let me try this one. I bet I could be good at that. That's probably as that age, that's probably the only interest.
No.
Oh, let me try that. That looks like fun. I bet I could do that.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go off the golf course for a minute. What do you do for work?
I work in technology, supporting a couple of business units at A&E Television.
And besides,
so technology is IT.
IT, yep. And besides golf, what other hobbies do you have?
Pre-COVID, I was playing tennis in the winter, but that kind of fell apart with COVID. Beyond that, I kind of like to go hiking. I like to go traveling. I like to see pretty vistas. My mom used to take us to out west on vacation, so I've seen a lot of the national parks and monuments, and I'm really appreciative of all of that. I like to do that. I don't do it as much as I would like to.
Any of those vistas out west stand out?
The Grand Canyon, Badlands, Four Corners, which isn't a vista, Four Corners, but the Four Corners where the 4 states meet.
Yep.
Mount Rushmore, I remember, and Niagara Falls, which is not actually out west, but my mom had relatives in that vicinity, so I've seen Niagara many, many times, and it still is spectacular.
Yeah, that is quite the sight to behold, especially when you take the boat and go up close to it. How powerful!
Yep. I was actually there one year. We happened to be going in the winterish time, and it was the year that it had frozen over. It was no longer frozen over, but it was probably 90% there, which was pretty cool looking.
Yeah, the national parks and all those, they're fascinating places to travel to. Now let's switch back to the golf world. You're the president of SNEWGA. What does that role entail?
Pretty much it's keeping the organization moving forward, keeping everyone engaged, active, participating. You want everybody to be having fun. You're the face of SNEWGA. One of the things I want to do in trying to help people have more fun, I've instituted a pace of play initiative this year, trying to get the pace of play to improve. But really, it's keeping me in touch with everything, which is one of the things I really enjoy about it.
For someone listening to this episode of 15 Minutes we're talking with Southern New England Women's Golf Association President Debbie Johnson, what is SNEWGA? What should people expect if they sign up? What should people expect when they play in your events?
SNEWGA is a state golf organization for women. It allows anyone into its membership that is a member of a SNEWGA club. So you need to belong to a SNEWGA club, a club a golf course club that has joined SNEWGA. And then we don't have any handicap restrictions, and which allows everyone an opportunity to play no matter where you are in the game, because our point is to get people out to play. Come, have fun, socialize with us, play a little golf. You can play serious golf, you can play not serious golf. We have everything. And that's what you would expect about joining SNEWGA. The other thing, and I think you've brushed on it somewhere, is that the thing I like about SNEWGA is that people hang out afterwards. They don't just play, eat, and leave, or just play and leave for some of the smaller events that don't have food. They stick around. They say, oh, can you believe this shot? Oh, can you believe that shot? And they hang out, and then they meet the people better than they just played with. And then those people have friends, and their friends come over, and then they meet those people, and then those friends come over, and they meet more people. And I find it a very engaging organization, that it gives you a lot of people to meet. Very easy to meet people in that organization, and that's one of the things I really cherish about it.
Yeah, it seems like friendship, camaraderie is one of the truly great aspects of SNEWGA. Just when some SNEWGA players cross over into our CSGA events like yourself, Debbie, you guys are always, your group is always doing that. You're sitting there, you're hanging out, you're talking about your round. Even after I spend an hour and a half writing my article, sometimes you're still there just hanging out and having a good time. And it seems like that's a big part of everything that you all do.
Yeah, it is a big part. We played another event. It was a match event, and the SNEWGA players were all the ones that were left afterwards. It's funny. We're always the ones that we're last to leave because we're having too much fun.
Nothing wrong with that. How did you get involved with the organization?
Long ago, at Sterling Farms, my golf captain there, person responsible for SNEWGA, recruited me to play in it. And I said, what's SNEWGA? Back in the early days, I didn't know anything. Like I said, I didn't even know Sterling Farms had a women's club. And then they're saying, oh, you got to join SNEWGA. Oh, well, what's that? Ironically, a number of years ago, I was cleaning out my files and I'm shredding checks, and I found my original SNEWGA check, and it was from 2001. And oddly, I could see that it was cashed on 9/11 or 9/12/2001, which I thought was really odd.
Yeah, and
but in any case, so 2001. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to answer the question because I couldn't remember when I joined.
and did you, as soon as you joined, did you feel that camaraderie? Did it just sort of hit you like, yep, this is a group that I want to play golf with?
Initially, I don't remember that initially, but I probably was a little shy and don't know anybody and only know my teammates. And I think the first event was a team event that I got recruited for. And in that particular event, you didn't eat with the people that you played with. You sat with your team to see how your team had done. So that one would have been slightly different, but
right. We're talking with Debbie Johnson. She's the current president of SNEWGA. All right, Debbie, let's get you out on this one. And it might be hard if you have a couple of moments, that's okay. Do you have one golf moment that's your favorite, one that sticks out in your mind as, yep, that's the pinnacle of my golf career? A shot, playing in an event, playing a course, hanging out after a round even?
Favorite golf moment? It really is difficult to pick one. I can think of a couple of them. I had a 3-wood into a par 5. I believe it was 18 at Shuttle Meadow. I think it was at the Connecticut Open several years ago. And I hit it dead straight. And that green, if I'm remembering the correct course, but that green had a 2-tiered, actually I had a 3-tiered green, but the pin was on the middle tier and the ball landed in front. And I remember climb that hill, get up that hill, climb that hill. And it got up the hill and I had a shot at an eagle, which was pretty awesome. Another one was, I believe 2 years ago, I was in a playoff for first alternate for this same event at the same golf course, Tuscarora. And I had a 5-wood into the first hole because I'd hit a tree, but it thankfully spit me into the fairway. I'm the farthest away of the 3 of us, and I hit my 5-wood to about 2 feet.
Wow.
Sank the putt. Thank you very much. You people go on and play for the second spot. And the other one that I thought of was winning the SNEWGA championship the first time, because I had never won anything at that point, and my first win was a big one. So that was pretty exciting. I have other favorite moments. I was low amateur in the 2009 Connecticut Open. I have a gorgeous trophy from that. Thank you very much, CSGA. There, you know, like I said, it's hard to pick a favorite moment, but those are the ones that come to mind first. If you want to ask me a favorite moment.
Well, you've certainly played a lot of golf. You've played a lot of courses, so I'm sure there's a number of moments that we could move through. Debbie, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to join us and talk about your life in golf. Of course, best of luck at the U.S. Senior Women's Amateur, and we'll see you at a CSGA event, I'm sure not too far down the road.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you for having me.
She has been Debbie Johnson, the president of the Southern New England Women's Golf Association, better known as SNEWGA. Thank you so much for listening to 15 Minutes With. I've been your host, Sam Dosteler.